Do I look like somebody that is just sitting back and looking at things happening?
Does Mark Carney have some dirty dealings? Welcome back to Moose and Loose. My name's David. Today we got the first big scandal here from Mark Carney. We got Pierre Poilievre coming out with an amazing new plan. We got a bunch of other stuff. Let's jump into this. So first up, Mark Carney came out with a press conference here. It's a real snooze fest. If you're having trouble sleeping, you got insomnia, this is the man to put you to bed. But within his long, boring speech, he had this to say.
There's a fever gripping America. And while it rages, Canadians will remain resolute and true to our values. While America engages in a war on woke, Canadians will continue to value inclusiveness.
No thanks, Carney. I think we'll take a pass on the DEI. With that, we've got Andrew Scheer dropping this one. It says, sitting MPs running for Liberal leadership have to disclose their finances to the Ethics Commissioner for years. Carbon tax. Carney refuses ethics rules don't apply to Team Trudeau's anointed one. Have your say. So they've got a link here. But basically, we've got Liberal leadership frontrunner Mark Carney refuses to disclose investments and other financial interests. Why would that be? Could it be he was getting government funds kicked over to him when he's sitting on the chair of Brookfield Asset Management? Could that be? Not to mention all the other chairs he was sitting on, Stripe and whatever. There's a full laundry list. Bloomberg. There's got to be some dirty conflicts of interest there, and that's why he doesn't want to disclose this. It's crazy too because dirty conflicts of interest are coming out in America now that they're cleaning up their U.S. aid program, which is similar to our Foreign Affairs Canada program. We got this one posted by Benny Johnson here. So you know how corrupt the CBC is in Canada? Well, apparently because they've opened up this U.S. aid here in America, they found out Politico, this news organization, has been funded by the government, and it's always been pushing pro-left-wing stuff and anti-right-wing stuff. This is just insane that basically they've had the same corruption in America we've had in Canada here with the CBC. With that, let's take a look at our polling data here. We've got the Conservatives here projected at 223, Liberals 66. So putting them once again, official opposition. Not a lot changing there aside from, Jagmeet, losing more seats here. Thought I'd point this out real quick. Justin Trudeau posting this for his daughter, Ella Grace. So he posts this for her, and yet he has to post a picture of him with her taking a selfie. Like, why wouldn't he just post a picture of his daughter versus the narcissism of this guy is unbelievable. Speaking of Trudeau, we got this one here. So he's announced a economic summit Friday to address the UF tariff threats. That's right, another summit to waste our money. Now with Mark Carney refusing to disclose his financial information, which stinks of corruption already. We already know that he's been getting information from the Liberals and acting almost as if he's prime minister, even though he has not won the position. And that's what we have here today. Reporters asked him about this.
And you say you've been speaking with the ministers about tariffs. What advice are you giving them? Are you giving briefings? What exactly are those conversations like?
Well, I'm, just to be clear, fully support the exceptional work of our Foreign Minister, Mélanie Joly, our Finance Minister, Dominic LeBlanc, Public Safety Minister, David McGuinty, Industry Minister, François-Philippe Champagne.
What is this? He's trying to show everyone he can remember their names? He's just listing people that have come out publicly to support him?
All the ministers. There's a huge Team Canada effort going on. They keep me informed kindly. I provide some perspective on that, and particularly with respect to where we go from here, the next phase of potential discussions that are likely to extend beyond the month of February and well into the spring. Thank you.
Is Ruby Dalla being informed? How about Frank Baylis? Is he getting the information? This is corrupt. He's getting insider information. This is a rigged leadership race. These guys need to be tossed out. It's time for an election. I read Mark Carney's new proposal for carbon pricing plan. It's disturbing. It will force businesses to close and move to the U.S. It will have a negative financial impacts on our farmers. No farmers, no food. It's not a good plan for Canada. It's his net zero agenda. Speaking of a bad agenda, we've got the Conservatives calling out to fire Bonnie Henry. I'm all for it. Fire her. She's been a disaster for British Columbia. So she's the top doctor in British Columbia and was in charge of the whole world event situation. And she supported the legalization of the street candy that Justin Trudeau and David Eby implemented, which has devastated the province of British Columbia. With that said, we've got this post coming here saying leaked Ministry of Health presentation confirms David Eby's taxpayer-funded safe supply is trafficked provincially, nationally, nationally and internationally. So I'm going to tie this all together here. Take a look at this. British Columbia was singled out as a single source of illegal opioid trafficking by the American president. Canada now has 30 days, etc. Leaked presentation here. It basically goes on to say that it was given over to the RCMP and that the safe supply was flooding into the streets, enriching organized crime. In some cases with diversion fraudulently facilitated by pharmacies and medical professionals. Basically goes on to say that this report says a significant portion of opioids being freely prescribed by doctors and pharmacists in BC are not being consumed by their intended recipients, and that the prescribed alternatives are trafficked provincially, nationally, and internationally. I just want to point out this tweet here by Conservative leader John Rustin in regards to having a street fentanyl czar that needs to be appointed. He says we already have one. Her name is Bonnie Henry, and she's focused on promoting street fentanyl in BC. This is so savage. With that said, check this out. I've been saying it, that they don't scan the C cans, and now we got this guy saying they don't scan the trains as well. We don't know how much of this stuff is in our country.
Let's talk about searching equipment, because we talked about people, but I was surprised to learn, and perhaps this makes me very naive, but that the CBSA doesn't have the capacity in terms of officers or technology, for example, to search the vast majority of containers that are coming into the Port of Vancouver. And we know that's a huge fentanyl entry port. Can you talk to us a little bit about what the ability of the CBSA is to seize and investigate, in particular, drugs in Canada when they're coming in?
Yeah, I mean, we do have good intelligence. We work very hard at it. Again, it's simply a matter of more. We need more people. We need more equipment. We search less than 1% of what comes into Canada. Modes like rail.
Less than 1%.
Rail, we don't do at all. We don't look at whatsoever. We don't know what comes in via train. Again, we don't have the infrastructure. Wow. We don't have the people to actually do that work.
I just wanted to ask you to go back on rail. With rail, is that an inability to search just the products coming across, or is that people as well?
Could be either. Could products, people. We don't have the infrastructure to do those searches. There's plans underway to allow us to do that work on the U.S. side, because there are ports where they have the infrastructure to do that. But again, that's really something Canada should be investing in.
Now, we do have the money to do that. It's just Justin Trudeau and the Liberals keep sending it overseas on stupid projects. If we're having the street fentanyl pouring into Vancouver's port through sea cans, they could be put on trains and then shipped right down. If none of that's scanned, do they really have the proper numbers saying it's only 1%? I don't think so. I think those numbers are a lot higher. And take a look at this, posted by Kirk. It says, today's episode of Canada's justice system is a joke. Winnipeg man arrested in 50 million narcotic seizure, granted bail with conditions. Don't worry, things are going to get better. Pierre Poilievre coming with a big crackdown today.
My Canada First plan that common sense Conservatives will bring mandatory prison sentences. There will be life sentences for anyone caught trafficking, producing, or exporting over 40 milligrams of fentanyl. 40 milligrams is enough to kill 20 people. Anyone who is involved in trafficking that amount of fentanyl will get a life sentence. We will lock them up, and we will throw away the key. And 15 years for traffickers caught with between 20 milligrams and 40 milligrams will be the new mandatory sentence.
So just so everyone knows, the average amount they're catching people with is like significantly more than this. I said this stuff yesterday. I said it 2 days ago, 4 days ago. We need huge sentences, put these people in jail for years. Now we just need to get them working in jail, paying us back for their sins against us. At the very least, they need to be working in jail and paying for their keep, so we don't have to pay for the vile beasts behind bars.
The people we will lock away are not non-violent addicts. They are the victims. We will come to the rescue of victims and addicts. We will provide life-saving treatment. My message to anyone struggling with addiction today is have hope, hang on, help is on the way. My government will provide residential treatment. It will take people off the streets, provide them with detox, recovery, counseling, group therapy, sweat lodges for First Nations victims, and help them get into housing, a job, and back to their families. We will bring our loved ones home drug-free. Nor are we talking about the small-time dealer on a street corner, though he too will be punished. Rather, my law will go after the fentanyl kingpins who kill thousands of people each year. We will treat them like the mass murderers they are. We will bring home the country we knew and love.
This is the message we need. This is the message Trudeau and the Liberals should have come out with for Donald Trump and America. But it took to the last minute of Donald Trump twisting Trudeau's arm before they decided to finally do something, at least say they're going to do something. We've got Zoltan here actually posting an image of Pierre at the docks in Vancouver, and these guys are cheering for him.
Thank you, guys. Right on. Act the tax. Act the tax. Build the homes. Fix the budget. Stop the crime. Build the homes.
So with that, we've got Pierre Poilievre's post here. I can't play most of this video because of just the words he uses. Too many words I'd have to bleep out because of the street candy situation. He talks about Brandon, Manitoba, which I have family who grew up there.
Canada has become a drug manufacturing hotspot. Super labs in Canada synthesize the drugs using precursor chemicals, the ingredients that make fentanyl. These labs look like scenes from Breaking Bad, but it's not happening in New Mexico, in a TV drama. It's happening in Canada, in real life, right now. In November 2024, police dismantled what they described as the, quote, largest, most sophisticated illicit drug super lab in the country, in Falkland, British Columbia. One of the accused was out of jail after earlier convictions. Police said they seized 54 kilograms of fentanyl. Now,
that should be like you're never getting a whiff of freedom ever again. Take a look under his post here. We've got this. David Eby wasted $43,141 per addict in British Columbia Safe Supply Program, costing taxpayers a mind-boggling $184 million. Are we surprised this man ran a $9.4 billion deficit this past year? Just think of that. This guy's running a deficit to help destroy the province.
And they went to court and they said, court, we have a right as either drug users or as healthcare.
I can't play this video, but basically he's arguing for the street candy to be used. I mean, he's a lawyer. That's what he did. This is back in 2011. This guy is a menace to society. And we got Melanie Jolie here, asked about if she's actually doing her job.
Going forward, when you talk about the U.S. president's preoccupation has been the border security and fentanyl. Managed to get this delay of 30 days. What now is your advice to the Prime Minister to convince President Trump to either extend that pause beyond 30 days or to ultimately eliminate it altogether? Where do you see, what's your advice to the Prime Minister?
Well, it is to make sure that the border plan is implemented. We're a government. We need to make sure that these are not only words, but they're transferred into actions. And that's what we're doing. Black Hawk helicopters are already patrolling the border. We already have drones that have been bought that are patrolling the border. We now have
the drones from China, the ones that America doesn't want to use because of national security. And the Blackhawks, aren't those the ones that Alberta, that Danielle Smith bought?
Changed the opening hours of our border posts across the country, and we need to continue to do that.
But I mean, does this mean that you just sit back then and wait for these 30 days? And then
absolutely not.
Try to show the president that the measures you've announced are working, or do you think you have to go further?
Do I look like somebody that is just sitting back and looking at things happening? No, absolutely.
Yeah, it does. You look exactly like that person, all of you guys.
You're not. We're in implementation mode. We're in action mode. So that's why the Minister of Public Safety is in contact with Tom Homan, the border czar of Trump. And I met with him along with the Minister of Immigration last Friday in Washington. That's why we've been in contact with him since then as well. And that's why also the RCMP commissioner, the head of the CBSA, they're all working on making sure that is happening.
Pretty funny clip there. She caught off guard, basically saying, accusing her of not doing her job. How are they going to fund it? They can't. They can't. There's not enough money. How are they going to do that without legislation? Dumb as a bag of hammers. Everyone's saying, how are you going to do this? How are you going to do this? She looks as uncomfortable as Freeland. We've also got Chrystia Freeland here coming out saying she wants to help rebuild Gaza with Canadian tax dollars, supporting the rebuilding of Gaza. Just to show you the original post, it's here. My government will oppose any forced displacement of Palestinian people, supporting the rebuilding of Gaza, and work urgently towards a two-state solution. Forced displacement would be serious violation of international law and attack on rules-based order, blah, blah, blah. Do you support Chrystia Freeland using our dollars to rebuild Gaza? I sure as heck don't. Look at this. We got Jagmeet Singh here piping in about Gaza. It says, Gaza belongs to Palestine, no one else. Trump's threats are utter madness. They violate international law and destabilize the region. How are the people of Palestine going to rebuild that? They're not. There's pow-pows and boom-booms, ones that have been unexploded. They need high-level precision equipment to go through there and not only demolish everything that's fallen over, but get rid of all the unexploded boom booms. There's no real good solution there. Basically, if America's going to spend hundreds of millions to clean up that whole site, then they're going to rebuild it. If they don't go and do that, then the people of Gaza are going to go back there and just live there, and then suddenly things are just going to keep exploding while they're living there in broken shambles. It doesn't make sense. The whole situation is terrible, but if you think about it logically, it just makes no sense for almost 2 million people to go back to a place that's absolutely destroyed. I thought this was funny. So Brian Lilly posted this here. This is Trudeau's famous speech complaining about how the wrong person won the election in America and a woman should have won. The hypocrisy of this now, considering Mark Carney is the one being pushed now and not Chrystia Freeland or Karina Gould or Ruby Dalla or whoever.
No, it shouldn't be that way. It wasn't supposed to be that way. We were supposed to be on a steady, if difficult sometimes, march towards progress. And yet, just a few weeks ago, the United States voted for a second time to not elect its first woman president.
Mark Carney. How do you justify Mark Carney being pushed now? Come on.
Everywhere, women's rights and women's progress is under attack, overtly and subtly.
Oh, he is just so vile. We haven't been seeing that much of him in the news, but this really brings up the bad times, doesn't it?
But I want you to know that I am, and always will be, a proud feminist.
I'm always a proud feminist. This guy is such a buffoon. Don't let the door hit you on the way out, Trudeau. The rules never seem to apply to them. Just good enough to prop up for appearances. With that, we've got bumbling buffoon Justin Trudeau. Here's a list somebody's posted. I haven't verified these numbers, but they're probably in the ballpark because just of how much stuff I've shown on my segment there, Far Off Ripoff. Clinton Foundation, 600 million. Hamas, 351 million. Pakistan, 2 billion. Libya, 1.45 billion. There's just hundreds of millions, billions of dollars given to every other country but ours. Well, there we have it. Some more good news and then more chaos in Canada. Pierre Poilievre coming out with a strong plan here to crack down on the street fentanyl, which is great. That's what we need. That's what I want to see. I want to see these people behind bars for the rest of their lives. They want to roll like that in our country, then they don't get freedom ever again. Mark Carney refusing to disclose his financial ties is he cannot become prime minister. He has to show that information or there will be outrage in this country. There's only one reason why he wouldn't want to share that information is conflict of interest, dirty deals with Canadian tax dollars.